Raju, thanks so much. My experts are back with me. Mike Rogers, you used to be the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee when it worked in a much more bipartisan way. I want to play the full comment made by Nunes and get your reaction.
So therein lies, so it's like your classic catch-22 situation where, I mean, we're at a, this what puts us in such a tough spot. If Sessions won't unrecuse and Mueller won't clear the president, we're the only one, which is really the danger. That's why I keep, and thank you for saying it, by the way. I mean, we have to keep all these secrets. We have to keep the majority. If we do not keep the majority, all of this goes away.
So what Democrats and others, critics of these comments and of Devin Nunes say is, it's not the job of the House Intelligence Committee chairman to protect President Trump. It's the job to find out what happened and share that information with the American people.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a big aha moment. A partisan member goes to a partisan event and gives a partisan speech. Okay. The problem is that the dysfunction of the Intelligence Committee as we used to know it. There is, and candidly, I think both sides have been far too aggressive partisan in these investigations. So now you don't know what's right. The Democrats issue their report. I don't know. Is that right? The Republicans issue their report. I don't know. Is that right? The only way we're going to get to the bottom of what's happening in all of this is through these IG investigations. DOJ is now looking at the FISA issue. They looked at the Clinton emails and they said, yes, there were some mistakes made. And those are important to correct. But what you have now is this absolute scrum on what's happening inside the Intelligence Committee and why partisanship has no business in there, because we have to remember they're issuing subpoenas too. Just like you don't want the FBI to be partisan when it issues a subpoena, you certainly don't want the power of a congressional committee in the intelligence business issuing a partisan subpoena either.
And just to remind our viewers, you were the chairman when there was a bipartisan report on what happened at Benghazi, a very controversial issue. What's your take on all this?
Well, it's kind of funny. He doesn't know what a catch-22 situation is, but he is in one because the shady things that he is doing to protect the president are actually putting him on a path to imperiling the president. It's funny to me that this is viewed as somewhat as a Devin Nunes problem. He was speaking at a fundraiser for Cathy McMorris Rodgers, who's number 4 in the House. I think it's an interesting choice that she has him headlining her fundraiser. She's in a toss-up race. But my question for leadership is that, are you putting your stamp of approval for the House Intelligence Chairman to speak in this manner, to view his role as protecting the president? Because I hear a lot of impeachment talk being tossed around, but the Republicans are the only one campaigning on impeachment. They're saying the situation is so bad that you have to elect Republicans to protect him, and I will use my role as chairman to protect him. That was his message at a fundraiser stamped with the endorsement by Cathy McMorris Rodgers. And so if that's the position of the party, you know, is the president more guilty than, I mean, that seems to me a tacit admission of guilt on some level.
The idea that he's actually vulnerable to something coming from Mueller.
Yes, if they're taking it that seriously, that Democrats will impeach the president, then they seem to be very worried about this.
But that's an argument that we're going to hear Republicans making more and more as we get closer and closer to the midterms. I talked to one Republican strategist today who's closely aligned with the White House who said, yes, you are going to see more people make the same argument that Devin Nunes did behind closed doors out in public, because there is this enthusiasm gap that some of the president's supporters see between the Republican base and the Democratic base. And 2018 is going to be all about turning those Republicans who turned out in 2016 because they supported the president but may not have in the past or in past midterms in particular, and getting them to show up. And one of the ways to do that is through fear, and through this fear of if Democrats take back the House, if Democrats take control of the Senate, you're not only going to see an impeachment, you could potentially see the president removed from office.
Yeah,
so that is an important
argument.
argument.
To see the polling for people in the middle, if that's actually persuasive.
But there it is. I mean, the impeachment process, we all know, is a political process. However, Nunes was telling the truth. I mean, he just laid out there that he cares more about the president and the president holding his office, whether he has done right or wrong, above democracy, small d democracy. He cares more about his relationship with the president. He cares more about protecting the president than he does about the people and getting at the truth. So he laid bare for the American people to see that this is what our job is going to be, to hold the House, to hold the Congress, so we can protect the president, so we can protect our political behinds.
So you're a former official, a Democratic official, a state senator in Ohio.
Yes.
What is the hunger out there among progressives, among liberals, Democrats, for impeachment? Do they want impeachment?
I mean, some do, Jake, and for me, it's not just Ohio. I mean, I've been to about 33 states in the last 10 months, and people really are still very much focused on those bread and butter issues that don't get a chance to bubble to the top, because we have to constantly endure the drama that is this president. And as long as we continue to collectively to play on his ground, his platform, then the greater needs of the American people are never met. Can we look at the investigations? Can we look at all of the things, the strife that is happening in this country, at the same time deal with the very everyday needs? Medicare for all, clean water, and not just in Flint. Even there was a period of time about a month and a half ago where our sisters and brothers in Iowa, for example, 9 counties.
Also a problem in Ohio.
And in Ohio,
Yeah.
lead levels. We never get a chance to talk about those issues because we keep getting trapped and wrapped up into all things President Trump.
We only have 30 seconds, but I do want to ask, he also talked about impeaching Rosenstein after the midterm elections are over, assuming that the Republicans hold on to the majority. No administration, not including presidents, has been impeached since, I think, 1876, when the Secretary of War was impeached. Do you think that's a good road for Republicans to go down?
Absolutely not. I think it's absolutely asinine that they even talk about it, number one. If they wanted to hold him in contempt, as Eric Holder was held in contempt by Congress for not giving documents, that's a different conversation. They do have an obligation to answer these subpoenas, but to talk about impeachment for what? Because they disagree with the direction of the investigation?
They want
makes
to impeach Rosenstein
no
to stop the
sense.
impeachment of Trump.
Well, yeah, I hear you, and I hear why they're doing it, but I think it's a mistake. The only thing I can say, there are Democratic presidential candidates running on impeachment. So some notion that only Republicans are talking about, they're trying to rally their
We're not
bases.
hearing a groundswell of that
I hear you.
among everyday people.
We're coming.